Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Ethereum and just continuing to watch the move that it's been in for a while. If you guys like the content, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on, and check out the Telegram channel in the description below. So the first thing we're going to look at is just, the general uptrend that Ethereum has been in since March. And if you remember, we back in December, we anticipated this move here, where we went from around 120 up to around close to 300. We said that if Ethereum does tend to make a really nice move in the first quarter of every year, subsequently the pandemic hit, traditional markets crashed, and then in the short term, cryptocurrencies went down in general as well. And we basically we've been reclaiming what was already ours earlier in the year. I noticed there's a lot of bearish sentiment going around. Maybe not today. Certainly was yesterday, but again, it changes on a dime. But if you take a look at the macro picture, you just look back a few weeks, just go back, say, a month. The price of Ethereum was around $200, and today it's around it's 235, 234, 235. This is still a decent move. You can see that the dump that we saw yesterday in the short term, it was nothing more than a wick, and for Ethereum it came down to the 50-day moving average. You can see it came right down to that 50-day, came right back up, and we're still coming along. And you note that as we move up this channel, price of Ethereum isn't going to just monotonically increase for the next 3 years. It goes up and then it comes back down, and then it maybe moves sideways a little bit, and then it makes another move up, gets rejected by some level, comes back down, moves sideways for a few days, a few weeks, and then continues its move. Okay, goes up, side, down, up, side, down. This is just a general movement in the cryptocurrency market. If you find yourself getting shaken out when you see these moves in the short term, cryptocurrency is just going to chew you up and spit you out. So remember, as long as you're following some DCA approach where you're just sticking to your strategy, you're not worried about the short term, you're looking at the long term picture, then again, this is irrelevant. Hopefully some of you were able to take advantage of this move down here to the 50-day. And one of the things I wanted to remind you was, if you're looking at more of a macro view, this is the 20-week moving average with respect to Bitcoin. And you can see that, this specific chart doesn't go back far enough, but you can see that the last time we got above the 20-month moving average, the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio just shot up. And it even held at a support later before shooting up again, and then held at a support one last time. This is kind of like our dead cat bounce in a sense, before coming back down. We've been pretty much far away from this ratio for a while, or at least the 20-month moving average of Ethereum Bitcoin. But you can see, again, as we discussed in prior videos, that our monthly wicks are going straight to the 20-month moving average. Here it was at around 0.028, 0.029. This one was at around 0.027, 0.026, 0.025. And right now it's starting to flatten out. You can see that this wick has gone straight up to it. We need to break 0.02556. This is where, I think a key level we need to break. It may not happen this month. It may not happen next month. One of the things that I've noted before is, obviously with Bitcoin, is the 20-week moving average and holding it as support, and getting above it. You can see in the last market cycle we got above it on October 2015, and then held it as support in late January, going into the first quarter of 2016. And going back to Ethereum Bitcoin, we've shown this before. If you look to see what was going on during that first quarter of 2016, when Bitcoin was holding the 20-week, this is when Ethereum really started to make its move. Okay, and then it made its move again when Bitcoin got to its previous all-time high. These are the key things we're waiting for. Bitcoin, I would say for every week that Bitcoin is maintaining itself above the 20-week moving average, and especially the 20-week and the 50-week, then it's just going to provide more confidence, I think, to to Ethereum to really see that breakout to the $300 range. And for me personally, I'm continuing to purchase Ethereum dynamically based on that risk indicator that I made. If you want access to that, you can check out the premium list in the description below. But ultimately speaking, just follow Bitcoin if you want to get an idea of what Ethereum's doing. You can see that Bitcoin has been holding its own for the most part. It's just been moving sideways for the last couple weeks. You can see, it becomes more or less a boring time in crypto for a lot of people. But maintaining this region, we haven't really spent a whole lot of time between 8,600 and 10,000 for Bitcoin. And so by continuing to stay in this region, I think it is really building out support, hopefully for the next bull market. But we'll see what happens. We need to hold the 20-week. Holding the 20-week last time, or right before Bitcoin held the 20-week, was when Ethereum started to move, and Bitcoin did hold the 20-week, and then Ethereum kept on making that move. And remember, it took 3 months last time. So far, during this current cycle, Bitcoin has only been above the 20-week moving average, if we were to take a measured move, for 7 weeks. So maybe around a month and a half or so. So in terms of the last cycle, it's been above the 20-week, half as long as it did last cycle before Ethereum broke out. So at the very least, it's not that outlandish to consider that it might take another 6 weeks for us to see a breakout. It could happen tomorrow. If Bitcoin drops back down to the 20-week and goes below it, then personally, I'll be consolidating my position mostly back into Bitcoin and stablecoins, just because if you look at the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin, if you convert the first weekly close below the 20-week and then convert back the first weekly close above the 20-week for Bitcoin, it would have always worked out in your favor in order to accumulate more Ethereum. So if your goal is to accumulate more Ethereum, that strategy would have worked 6 out of 6 times. Obviously, it's no guarantee that it'll work again. This is not financial advice. But if that were to occur, that is what I will be doing at the very least. So I hope that explains my position. In the short term, as I've been saying all along, I'm fairly bullish. I think there's certainly a decent chance that Bitcoin breaks out from 10K this summer. And if it does, then Ethereum, I think, is going to go along for that ride. I think Ethereum will get back up to this prior $300 mark, and hopefully we can break through it if Bitcoin decides that this summer is the time to shine. Now, remember, if you follow this channel, we talk about lengthening cycles here. I do think good things are in store for Ethereum in the long term over the next, say, 3 years or so. So I do anticipate, getting to, a few $1,000s per Ethereum, but I don't think that's going to reasonably take place until, 2 or 3 years from now at the earliest. So I don't want to show you guys information that I think is incorrect. So this is why I'm saying, from where I'm sitting, lengthening cycle theory is the name of the game, and Ethereum likely has a long way to go. But getting in at 234 in the year 2020, I think is going to look like an incredibly intelligent investment 3 years from now. Because, assuming that lengthening cycle theory is true, assuming that Bitcoin goes on this next bull run, even if Ethereum doesn't even get to its prior valuation of 0.15 with respect to Bitcoin, if Bitcoin, say, gets to $120,000 and the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio is just 0.1, then Ethereum at that point, its valuation is $12,000. And I know a lot of people who are essentially new to crypto might think this is just completely absurd and outlandish and that something like this can never happen. But I can assure you that if you just look at historical data, that kind of move is actually dwarfed by prior market cycles. If it were to continue to go up like Bitcoin has in prior market cycles, then that would be an underestimate. So I know it sounds crazy. To some degree, it is highly speculative. Obviously, if we were to see those prices, you have to remember they won't be here for long. So if your measure of success is what price you can sell it at, remember that the amount of time that Ethereum might be at around $5, $6, $7, $8, $9,000 or something like that is only going to be a few days or a few weeks, and then it's probably going to come crashing back down to $2,000 or $3,000. And then hopefully continuing to build out from there. So these things, people spend years waiting for a couple weeks. They don't capitalize on it, and then they spend another 5 years regretting it and waiting for the next move. Don't let this be you. I would say continue to stick to your strategy now. I do think that for Ethereum, the last 18 months and the next 18 months are accumulation time. So at least the next year is accumulation time. And if you can continue to accumulate, then I think when you look back on this time in a few years, you're going to be happy with your decision. We'll see what happens. We know it's a risky investment. Moving forward, the things that we need to see happen. We need to see Bitcoin stay above the 20-week, which is at around $8,300. It'd be great too if it could stay above the 50-week at around 8,700. I think Bitcoin continuing to just stay above these levels is crucial for Ethereum to see the breakout that we're waiting for. So this is one point. The other point is obviously, if we can break through this barrier here. I mean, this barrier does seem to hold some weight. It does seem that when we come back down to it before, we do hold it as support, and we've been holding it as resistance for every single wick for the last 5 months. So a key move above this level, I think, is what we need, and will help propel us to say back at least to the 0.03 valuation level, back to this region. So I think, what I'm hoping is that this is kind of like our bottom accumulation range back in the end of 2019, and we're just going to slowly move back up to the 0.03 valuation sometime later this year. We'll see what happens. So this is what I'm hoping. On the off chance that Bitcoin does not hold the 20-week moving average, then remember, we're just kicking the can down the road. It's just going to give you more time to accumulate. We're not under the impression on this channel that we're going to see a new paradigm shift in the price of cryptocurrencies in late 2021, like a lot of channels would have you believe. It's going to take a bit longer than that. So just buckle up. It's going to be a multi-year journey. Focus on other things. Just come up with a plan. If you want my help with coming up with a plan, then be sure to check out my premium list at intothe-cryptoverse.com. We also look at statistical insights into Ethereum, like historically the best hour, the best day to buy Ethereum, as well as the risk levels of Ethereum, both with respect to the US dollar and with respect to Bitcoin. So I hope you guys find this valuable. At the very least, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, check out the Telegram channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.